Good morning, beautiful Pisceans. So we come to the last of the water signs and the last sign of the zodiac, the number 12. Pisces, I compare it to water, ocean. Okay, so we had the first of the water signs, which was river, the second, which was still, Scorpio, Cancer to Scorpio, moving water, river to still water. Now we come to the ocean. So as you can get, the energy of Pisces is pretty wide open. Their fields are wide open. Their auras and everything is wide open. So they get lost in many things. So as a result, they get lost into many things. The esoteric meaning, let's start with those. Power to save through the demonstration of sacrificial love. The keynote for the soul is, I leave the Father's home and turning back I save. So they are literally coming back from the source to save the humanity. So very powerful, purposeful life they have if they get certain things clear here. So the soul rays, second and sixth, two soul rays, will to unite and illumine. The sixth is will to idealize, rescue self and self-sacrifice. So they are very self-sacrificial kind of people. They will give themselves for the sake of others very, very freely. Beautiful sign. Soul mantra is, I see the greatest light. Sixth is the greatest light controls. Indigo blue and silvery blue, light blue and silvery rose are very good colors for them. What are the Vedic aspects? It is a sattvic sign. It's a sattvic sign and dual are female. This is the second of the sattvic female signs, which wants to ground things in a powerful, feminine, intuitive way. So this is like the witch energy. This is like the shamanic healer energy. Because it is sattva, it has got connection to pure source. Jupiter being the ruler, exaltation is Venus because it wants to bring beauty and love. Debilitation is Mercury because it's not about the mind. It has gone intuitive into Venus and Jupiter. Type is moksha, liberation. So these people can become powerful healers, psychologists, etc. Let's see what the Pisces Ascendant has. The Pisces Ascendant has number 12 now sitting in the head, where Venus is exalted, Mercury is debilitated. Means they are not about intelligence, they are about beauty, creation of beauty, healing, etc. So the same Venus which is exalted is sitting in the 7th house, in the 8th house of occult. So they are very attuned with their innate nature into occult sciences, very intuitive. They may have psychic powers. At the same time, Jupiter, also being seen in the 10th house, they can make that their career. Jupiter supports heavily the 10th house of theirs. And Jupiter exalted in the 5th house of education, romance, creativity, love, etc. So these are very tender people with heavy psychic powers. But let's see what the real challenges are. They are isolationists. They tend to isolate themselves. They're very private. They're very introverted. Working behind the scenes, daydreamers. Why? Because Mercury is not exalted here. They won't come across to you as intelligent mental creatures. They're daydreamers, intuitive, extremely emotional beings, powerful, sensitive empaths. I should add even healers to that. They have difficulty in decision making since they are always looking outward for suggestions. Okay? And suggestions, advice, etc. And they make great psychologists, coaches, healers, service-oriented. They want to be of service to mankind. What a beautiful thing to have. Pisceans. The second house, which is the house of their family, is filled with aggression. Aries in Mars, very active family, physical family. They like to go hiking, camping, picnics. Disciplined, but with a lot of energy. May be aggressive if negative. Family may have violence in the family, may have abuse. Speech and communication, aggressive speech and communication with parents, siblings in earlier years. This is what makes them isolationists because of this experience in childhood. Second house is also early childhood. Maybe a disturbed family life, maybe a lot of debilitation. If that is there, that's what may prompt being introvert, isolationist. Father may be a policeman, military or a surgeon. Mars. Authoritative, aggressive, dominating figure. So they may have father issues earlier in childhood. So they may not like male figures as a result of this happening. Venus in Taurus in the third house makes them their communication very soft. Venus. And they are very soft with their younger siblings, soft, gentle, and protective. Esoteric in nature. Highly creative artists need to develop artistic skills. They can also develop intuitive occult abilities, like I just said. Since Venus also rules the 8th house, they can cultivate artistic talents. Venus exalted in the first house and in the 8th house. They also can have culinary skills, cooking. Jupiter is highly fond of food. Culinary skill and Jupiter combined with Venus, of course. So culinary skill for setting up hotels or restaurants, hospitality industry. They are very good in hospitality, hotel management. The 4th house of Mercury in Gemini makes it dual sign, changing. This is where their mind comes in. Very communicative and intelligent family, chatterboxes. They love to communicate at home. Home is their chatterbox environment. Love communicating about spiritual things that most do not often talk about. They're externally introvert, communicative at home. This is the funny thing about them. In the 5th house of education, children, family, romance, and love, they have Cancer. So this is a wildly fluctuating romantic environment, fluctuating education for their children. Mother may be very involved with the education because of the moon in Cancer. Caring by upbringing may have an emotionally difficult time in their own earlier education. They must need emotional connect to all matters of education. Things like science, maths and everything, they won't understand because Mercury is debilitated. And moon is there in Cancer. So education needs to be something of an emotional subject. They might have a difficult time in their education, early years. Later on, of course, they might get mature. Very emotionally attached in romance and creativity. So they are good creative people. Moody in love, Cancer. Romance life filled with ups and downs in relationship, can become romantic novelists, writers. Emotional communications are very good, provided they have good Mercury in their chart, because Mercury is debilitated in Ascendant. The Sun in Leo makes them very have egoistic enemies at work. They need freedom. They need independence at work. They are better off self-employed or in business by themselves. Be their own boss. Also because Sun is a significator here, the father may be very strict, even abuse, or even jealous of mother who could incur debts. They could incur debts of father. They hate authoritative figures at work. So these people can have a lot of male, aggressive, masculine issues because of what we saw in the 2nd house and what we are seeing in the 6th house. Father can become an enemy. Male figures can become their enemy. So in the 7th house of spouses, we have Mercury in Virgo, calculative. Partner may be very realistic, practical, grounded, communicative, calculative, intelligent and articulate. Complete contrast to them, because they are ruled by Mercury in practicality in the earth. They can make a good support for the nature, but they have to be one is very dreamy, but their spouse is very, very calculative. So again, it's the duality playing in the dual sign. So 8th house of Venus Libra, like we said, they can have access to tantric knowledge. They can become highly intuitive healers, channelers, if they develop this hidden talent. Venus is exalted in the Ascendant and in the 8th, so it is very well supported to become channelers. Should develop it consciously. Balanced in their joint assets after marriage, they and their spouse can have good joint assets, because Libra is very supportive of that. 9th house of higher knowledge has Scorpio. Goes hidden. Digging deep into esoteric knowledge and distilling it. They can make good philosophers, theologists and historians, because they love digging deep. This is another talent they might have. Communication of it. They can be good communicators of it. Spreading knowledge as they can. Especially will work well if they are even supported by the spouse later in life. 10th house of Jupiter in Sag, in career and work. Career should be practical esoterics. They can get traditional also, even then Sag becomes traditional person. Using spiritual intuitive abilities, but they go into intuition because of the Pisces Ascendant. They can make good healers, psychics, counselors, coaches, psychologists, chefs in cooking, hospitality industry, nursing, hospice, artists, poets, musicians, make excellent teachers of the above. 11th house of gains is restricted because Capricorn, Saturn is there in Cap. They limit the number of people in their social circles because of Saturn ruling this. The gains can become over time. They might not have sudden gains and lots of wealth, but they will build it up over time and keep it. Slow and late gains in financially, typically after 36 or even 40. Usually good gains come in foreign lands. Why? Because it's in the house of foreign lands, internationally or through social media. Number 12, the house of spirituality is again Saturn in Aquarius. Unconventional spirituality sense. These are the people who make good new age kind of belief systems. They drift towards that because Aquarius wants unconventional stuff. They seek even fame and recognition through large social networks, provided they do not become vain. They have to be giving selflessly. This is what Pisces need to remember. Their essence is about giving selflessly, not for gains. Whereas Aquarius is looking for gains. Ability to access deep unconscious, Saturn gives that. The lower dimensions of existence may go work in or immigrate to foreign lands. Saturn may take you to foreign lands. Once they go there, they do not come back. They settle in foreign lands. In early age, they should avoid going into drugs and alcoholism because the darker aspect of Saturn provides to Aquarius that need, wanting to ground something. So Saturn can make these people into drug addicts earlier in life because they're seeking that to ground that sense of innate spirituality that they have in the ascendant and in the 8th house. Should avoid this. Avoid going into drugs, alcoholism, darker side. Find ways to help humanity in larger groups. They are better off. They are spiritual loners. They love being by themselves. So this is my short analysis of Pisces in the ascendant. If you want to know specifics about where your chart is, planets are placed in your chart and how they affect you, you can get in touch with me through Facebook Progressive Guidance and we can take it further from there. Have a good one.